Hi, in today's video I'm going to be taking a look at the Arch Wiki, probably the best source of information about Linux on the internet. However, there is one problem with it. Recently what they decided to do was change the page layout to a mobile theme, as you can see here. So what we've got is a really narrow page with these massive margins, and it's just awful to actually use now. So what I'm going to do is actually show you how to fix this with a couple of lines of code using Firefox's user style sheets, so that we can go from this in Chromium to this, which is the sort of normal layout you'd be used to, a full page layout, which is, in my opinion, a lot easier to read. So what I'm going to do is show you how to set this up and create the user style sheet and the user JS file for Firefox that will apply this style sheet specifically to the Arch Wiki. So what I've got over here is a Git repository of my Firefox CSS code. And what I'm going to do is show you how you actually install this and the different locations of the Mozilla directory depending on whether you're using a deb, flatpak or a snap. So first of all, what we have is there are actually two parts to this. There is a folder called Chrome, and what that does is that contains both your user chrome.css and user content.css. And the difference between the two is the user chrome.css is applied to the Chrome of Firefox, allowing you to change the interface, whereas the user content.css is for actually styling different web pages or styles or domains. So if I have a look in this user content.css file and actually come down right to the bottom, what I've got here is a load of code for styling things like DuckDuckGo, transmission, so I can have a dark theme on transmission. And right at the bottom, what we've got here is this section here, remove mobile theme width. And basically what this is this is a CSS style that only applies to the Arch Wiki domain. So this won't affect anything apart from the style sheets on the Arch Wiki. And basically what we do is we start off with this identifier moz at moz document, and then we specify domain wiki.archlinux.org. Then we have these two brackets here, and what we've got is these two CSS styles, and what these do is they reset the max width. So if I come across back to Chromium, what I'm going to do is inspect. And it does it differently in Chromium. But what you can usually see is, can I get this to dock at the bottom somehow? Dock at the bottom, yeah, okay. So that's what I want to do is I've run inspect element, and what I can now do is actually move the cursor over the different HTML elements here, and actually see, you'll actually see the width come up. Just move the styles thing here a bit. So as you move the cursor over here, what you'll do is I just inspect this bit actually. Okay, so we can see here. So the first one here is this MW content container. You can see here, this has got a max width of 60 EMs. So if I just if I check that and change that to none, if I spell correctly, yeah, there you okay, you can see that's removed some of the padding there. What we've got another one here is in MW workspace container. You can see that's got additional a max width as well. So what we'll do is we just set that to none as well. And as you can see, just by those two changes, we've removed the sort of mobile theme that's changing the width. So question is now, we need to apply those styles every time we visit the Arch Wiki. And Google Chrome or Chromium doesn't have user style sheets. So that's why we're going to be using Firefox, but we just refresh the page and you'll see what that looks like. So now if I come back to Firefox, as you can see, this is what the end result is. Now I'm going to go through the process of actually showing you how to apply those styles to your install of Firefox, so that every time you open the Arch Wiki, it's going to reset those margins and get rid of that awful mobile theme that just makes it more unpleasant to use. So the first thing is, as I said, what we have is this Chrome folder here, and we also have a file called user.js. And basically in this file, what you can do is specify options that you would normally set using about config. So normally when you set up a new version of Firefox, you'll go in and you go about config, and it will usually prompt you saying, do you want to, change the settings, and you'll get to this page. And what we'll do is we'll just search for style sheet, and what you'll see here is toolkit legacy user profile customizations.style sheet is true. Now by default this is going to be false on a new install of Firefox. Now you can go into, if you've got Firefox set up on multiple machines, it's a pain to have to go in and open up about config and change the settings. So instead of doing that, instead of using about config, what you can do is you can create a file called user.js. And in this file, what you can do is specify the options that you would normally use in about config. So the advantage of this is that basically you now have a file with all the settings that you'd normally apply to your Firefox install. And instead of manually going through and opening about config and typing them all out and setting them manually, what you can do is just have this user.js file that you can drop into your Firefox profile directory, and it will apply all the settings. So this will basically enable user style sheets, disable pocket, and also the latest version of Firefox has this really annoying thing when you download something, you get a little download icon here. And what happens is it always comes up with a sort of like an overlay pop-up showing you what you downloaded, and you can disable that with this setting. So that's what the user.js file is for, and that's what the Chrome directory is for, changing your style sheets both for a Firefox interface and web pages that you want to style. So obviously the next step is, how do you install these config files, and where do you put them? So that's the difficult thing. There are 3 different versions of Firefox basically on Linux. The path is this is gonna work on Mac and Windows as well. It's just that the file paths for the Mozilla directory is going to be different on each platform. And also, as I said, on Linux you have multiple ways of installing Firefox. You have the deb, you have the flatpak, and you have the snap, and each of those has their own different directory path. Excuse me. So what I'm going to actually do is show you the snap version first of all. And normally when you have Firefox installed using a deb, it's going to create a .mozilla directory in your home folder. So what I'm going to do is come across to snap Firefox, and the location of the .mozilla directory on the snap version of Firefox is in your home folder, snap Firefox common. Now, let me just toggle the hidden files here. So what you'll see here is snap Firefox common, and we have .mozilla, and in that directory we have Firefox. So for instance, if you've installed the deb version of Firefox, you're not on Ubuntu, you're purged the snap and you've just installed the deb, it's going to be in your home directory .mozilla and then Firefox. And in that directory, what you'll find is your profile. You'll see the profile folder listed here. And what you can actually do just to check if you have multiple profiles listed, if you open up Firefox and run about profile, about profiles, yeah, about profiles, sorry, my bad. What this will do is this will actually list the profile directory. So what you can do is, as I said, you can manually look for it if you know where it is, in the .mozilla directory in your home or your snap. So this should be Mozilla Firefox. I think this is the same one. Yeah, so this is the cache directory, which you can ignore. So if I do open directory, will that work? Okay, it does work. So that's the easiest way to do it. Because there are multiple sort of locations for Firefox, this is going to be the easiest way to find out where the thing is. So open Firefox, new tab, about profiles, just click open directory. So this is the, you can see here, home, snap, Firefox, common.mozilla, Firefox, and then your directory. So this is going to be the easiest way, your Mac, Windows, Linux, using the Flatpak, using the deb, or using the snap. And this is going to be the easiest way, cross-platform, that's going to work and just open your profile directory. So what we need to do is we've got this profile directory open here. What we have to do is we're going to, by default, it doesn't have this Chrome folder here. So what we're going to do is, as you can see here, this has got the user chrome.css and user content.css. So basically all you need to do is copy the, if I switch back here, so you can see what I've got is this Git repository, and what you can do is just basically download the files manually. So on GitHub, if you don't know how to download individual files, just come into the directory, and what you need to do, just click on them here, and what you have to do, you can't save them on this page. What you need to do is you come across to raw, and then you can save the page there, so you can click save and download it. So that's how you download the files, if you didn't know. So we're going to download the Chrome directory and the user.js file, and then basically we come across to here, about profiles, open directory. That opened the profile, the Firefox profile directory. Copy the Chrome directory with the user Chrome CSS and user content CSS in there. And the other important thing is what you need to do is copy the user.js file. So the user.js file goes in the root of the profile, and then you put the Chrome folder in there. So that's all there is to it. Once you've done that, that will basically enable the legacy style sheets using the user.js file, so you don't have to open about config and do it manually. And it will also activate the user Chrome and the user content. So for instance, in the user Chrome, I have some stuff to just sort of remove stuff. So for instance, here what I've got is a load of stuff that will actually remove stuff from the right click menu. So if I right click here, what you'll see is I have a really slimmed down menu. Normally what you'll have is you'll have stuff like all these things here, like send image, bookmark link, take screenshot, save page, all this kind of stuff you just don't need in the right click menu. So that's how I trim down the menu, because those are the only things I need. I can use keyboard shortcuts to save the page, copy and paste. So that will clean up the menu. And then again, in the user content, what we have here, and of course you can just remove the stuff you don't want from my examples here. This is the DuckDuckGo. This is for transmission to give it a dark theme. So if I just start up transmission, TRD daemon, transmission. As you can see there, what we got is a dark theme here for transmission, because transmission, which is a torrent client, has a daemon and you can access it through a web interface, and normally it has a blinding white theme that you can't really change. So what I'm doing is actually using the Firefox CSS to change that. So that's what all that is. And again, at the bottom, we just got the section here to reset the Arch Wiki. So if I just come across to here, and let me just, quit Emacs by mistake. Okay, so open that up again. Okay, so as I said, what we got here is the block of code that resets the margins on the Arch Wiki. Start with Mozilla document domain wiki.archlinux.org. So this style and this set of rules only applies stuff on that domain. We got the two CSS rules that we want to reset. So what they had was a maxed width set to like 60 EMs and 90 EMs, and EMs are a pixel, a measurement of font. What we have to do is basically we reset those to max width none, and what you have to do is exclamation point mark and then important, and that basically allow this block of code to override the settings on the Arch Wiki CSS style sheet every time we open any page in Firefox. So that's basically the gist of it. This is again the user CSS file, and what we do is, as I say, we put in the options here in this user.js file that you would normally set by opening about config. Again, the advantage of this is you have all your settings in one place, and you can easily just copy them to a new install of Firefox, or it's very easy to go through and change stuff using about config and then forget what you've done. Using this method will allow you to keep track of what you've done, and sometimes you can enable stuff using about config that will cause issues with Firefox and you can't figure out what it is. And just by having them in the user.js file, if you have any issues, you can just go through and comment. You can comment stuff out until you find the cause of the problem. So that's the user.js file. That's the Chrome directory. And again, dead simple to set up. So let's go through the steps again. First of all, you want to open your profiles directory, tab about profiles. You'll see it listed here. Just click open directory. It'll open the directory in your file manager. Just drag the Chrome folder into here. Copy the user.js file into there. And that's it. Restart Firefox, and it will then remove the extra big margins on the Arch Linux Wiki. So instead of it looking like this, which is just, I don't know what they were thinking. I mean, you could have at least pushed this, so it was all one size. Why have the big header here and this floating here and then this width here? It's just appalling page design. I mean, I used to do a lot of web stuff with Drupal and content management sites, and this is just an amateurish layout, really. If you were going to have a single width page here, these elements should all align with this, rather than this going all the way across and then this being, why is it aligned? There's a big space here and then massive space. It's just terrible. It really is awful. I don't know what they were thinking. And every time I go to the Arch Wiki to actually search something, it bugs me so much to actually have to look at this on a big screen. And there are sort of like I think you can you can manipulate the URL or something to use the old theme or something. And I think there may be browser extensions that actually do the same thing and remove the margins and the padding from this. But why go through all that bother of having to use a third-party extension when in Firefox you can just use the user style sheet? So that's one of the advantages over Firefox has over Chromium, is that many years ago Chromium removed the ability to use user style sheets to enable you to style web pages as you want. So if you're using Chrome, you're out of luck unless you can use an extension or something. You're stuck with this awful page design. God knows why they did it. But if you're in Firefox, bang, we can just switch it back to this. So this is much more user-friendly. You'll still have this big sort of gap here. But, that's a little thing. But for me, just having a page like that is much easier to sort of go through and read, especially on a big monitor, as opposed to this tiny little thing. It's just makes me want to scream at the screen. So this will work on Firefox, on Windows, Mac, Linux, whether you're using the Snap, the Flatpak, Deb, or using any other package of Firefox. Very simple to do. Open your profile, copy in the JS file, copy in the Chrome directory, and you're good to go. And you can then apply style sheets to any site that's actually bugging you for a particular reason. So if I search for MPV, MPV. And the interesting thing to note is if I come back across to the Arch Wiki here and go in Chromium, when you go to the main page, you got a full page layout, yeah. But then when you actually go to search for something, you get this. Where's the consistency? Ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. As I said, many years ago, I used to do not web design, but building stuff with content management systems, or hand cranking HTML pages, and you used to work with designers to get stuff pixel perfect. And if you showed my mate this, he would have a absolute fit. I mean, it'd be like, why is this stretching the full width, and then this is completely offset? There's no consistent. If you're going to have a slim page design, you're going to have a slim page design, and all the elements should actually line up, not be halfway across the bloody page. So sorry, little rant there, but for me, just resetting that just makes the Arch Wiki a lot more usable. And as I said, it's the best place for actually finding a lot of tips, regardless of what Linux distribution you're using. It will have tips that you can use on any distribution for fixing packages. So, for example, here's the MPV page on the Arch Wiki, and it has some settings that you can actually use to improve playback in MPV. So sometimes you'll get video that's a bit stuttery or something, and it has a selection of settings here that will actually fix that issue. I specifically had an issue with MPV on Ubuntu 22.04 being a bit out of sync sometimes, and these settings actually seem to fix it. So that's why I was looking at the Arch Wiki the other day just for some settings for MPV, and I just got so fed up with the awful page design that I thought I'd do something to fix it. And again, very easy to figure stuff out. Said what we did, we just come in and inspect, go through here, find where the problem things are. So you can see here, workspace container. You can then see the style over here. If you disable it, so if you come through and you need to disable that one, change that. See here, change the max width. Change it to none. None. And then the other one with the workspace, and we came across here, none. So this is how you can find out what styles you actually need to change. Just come across, go through the HTML, look at the styles, toggle them on and off, change them. Once you found the settings you want, basically you can then add those to your Firefox style sheet and apply them globally to every page on the Arch Wiki. So I'll put links to all this, and hopefully that will make using the Arch Wiki a bit more bearable without having to use third-party extensions, browser extensions to fix the problem, or coming through and manipulating the URL. It just makes it a lot more, putting it back to how it was basically, and removing all that annoying extra padding that is awful to read on a big screen. So I'll put links to all this under the video. And again, this will work on Mac, Windows, Linux, Snap, Firefox, Deb. It works cross-platform. And again, very easy to set up. About profiles. Open the directory. Copy in the Chrome directory. Remember, you've got to copy in the user.js file. Restart Firefox. Job done. So that's all for now. I'll put links to all this under the video, and have a good one.